Alright, winter 2022, shit ton of anime. However, if those anime don't end in Titan or Slayer, you probably don't care. On the off chance you do, there's still something like 50 new shows to watch, and frankly,
ain't nobody got time for that.
It's nearly impossible to sift through all the trash to find the shows worth watching. But thankfully, you have me.
Well, we're fucked.
Since apparently I'm a masochist, I'm willing to sacrifice my own enjoyment to watch every show released to determine those that you should also watch. But it's no fun telling you to watch the shows that are already popular because, well, you're probably already aware of those, so we'll be looking at some of the lesser known titles. And in order to find those shows, we'll have to sift through a lot of garbage, and it just so happens that winter 2022 has a lot of garbage. More generic isekais, booba bait, and extreme baseball. We got dudes reincarnating as younger dudes reincarnating as girls, and even a dude playing an old dude who turns into a girl but is still that old dude.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
Despite some of the trash, this season has a ton of potential, and I had a hard time deciding just 3 shows to recommend. Of course, these are just shows that I think will be good, as most of them only have 2 to 3 episodes out currently. They could end up being straight ass, but as it stands now, they've gotten out to solid starts. Did the hippos? What? He mobilized the hip? What? Oh, they're actually hippos with machine guns. Listen, I was on board with the giant CGI crab, dudes riding lizards, and the snail plane, but as soon as you bring in the machine gun mounted hippos, I'm at a loss. Sabiko e Bisco was one of the shows that I was most hyped for after watching the trailer, and that was mostly due to me not knowing what the fuck was going on. Everything was super hectic and over the top, but more than that, it looked different. Oh, and different it definitely is.
What the fuck is that?
In order to somewhat explain the premise accurately, let's go to the synopsis. Set in a future Japan where everything has rusted away, the rust wind threatens to wipe out humanity. The whole world is now a desert, and the protagonist, Bisco Akaboshi, uses his bow and special mushrooms as a mushroom protector, a noble thief who causes chaos all across Japan. To save his dying master, Bisco goes on a journey to seek out a special healing mushroom called a rust eater. He meets a doctor, Milo Nekoyanagi, how the fuck did I say that right the first time, who becomes his new partner and heads out on a crazy adventure. The Saitama Iron Desert stands in their way, along with a town made from the remains of one of the weapons that destroyed civilization and an abandoned underground subway line where giant octopuses live. With Milo's genius and Bisco's arrows, they're ready to face any danger, but then they're faced with the evil plots of a wicked prefecture governor. Basically, big explosion turned Japan into wasteland. The citizens believe that the mushroom spores were the cause of the disaster. Akaboshi has the ability to shoot arrows that instantly grow mushrooms. Because of this, people consider him a terrorist, a vegetable terrorist.
Little roasted vegetables never hurt anybody.
But in actuality, he is just trying to enrich the world to its former state. There are 2 things that immediately stuck out to me while watching: the character design and music. The characters are all very unique and distinguishable, which means this was probably made by a studio with a ton of experience. They've made nothing. This is Studio Oz's first work, but that doesn't mean they lack experience. The director Atsushi Ikaria, who is also in charge of character design, has had key animation roles on shows like Vinland Saga, Fate, Attack on Titan, Evangelion, Steins Gate, and many others. Bro, like, this chick's practically on her deathbed, yet they still made her look dope. Music was the other thing that stood out. To describe it in one word, it's intense. Fights have this very 2000s metal-sounding backing track where we have a mix of heavy instruments and effects overlaid on top. It reminds me a lot of the soundtrack we got in Need for Speed Most Wanted, with tracks from artists like Cell Dweller and Static X. We only have 2 episodes, and they are extremely fucking weird, but flying snails and CGI crabs aside, this show is turning to be a must-watch. The assassin genre is a tried and true one. A person who is extremely skilled in almost every area doing the murder while often having to avoid being murdered by the group of people they are trying to murder. You can usually expect assassin stuff to be entertaining, but the formula has been used a bunch of times, so it can feel bland in a lot of aspects. Love of Kill, at least to me, felt different. It uses a lot of the same formula, but adds in some additional elements to make it feel like its own. Many years have passed and Violet Evergarden has left the Postal Service to become a bounty hunter under the alias Chateau Dankworth? Holy fuck, that is a name. Her target is a man named Son Ryung-ha, a notorious killer who managed to body 18 high-class officials in a single night. And those kills are not just knockout and a little lethal injection. No, this man makes sure to splatter some brains. However, even the coldest killers have a heart, I guess. After his first encounter with Chateau, he decides that he's gonna take her out to dinner. Chateau is obviously not interested, as he's a murderer in the person she's supposed to target. She can't really resist his advances because he's too skilled, so getting close to him is her only opportunity of taking him out. He attempts to catch her eye by offering up her targets, who are often on the verge of death themselves, and will do anything to spend time with her. I mean, shit, if someone wants to offer to do my work for me and I still get paid, I will take that 10 times out of 10. Chateau somewhat goes along with this, and thus the cat and mouse game begins between the two killers. If I'm being totally honest, this show could end up being very predictable. Chateau hates Ryung-ha and wants to eliminate him, but over the course of the show, she warms up to him and eventually sides with him. That'd be kinda lame, but probably still entertaining. Despite there only being 2 episodes, there has been some interesting developments, like Chateau being targeted by the groups who are out to kill Ryung-ha because she is constantly seen with him. And speaking of Ryung-ha, I really like his character. He's incredibly smart and methodical when it comes to his assassin duties, but outside of it, he's a bit of a goofball, which makes him feel more relatable? Don't know if that's a good thing. I'm also a big fan of animes that don't hold back on the gore. If a dude gets shot in the head, it should look like he got shot in the head. The opening scene told me all I need to know in that regards. Love of Kill has started strong, and as long as it doesn't stray down the predictable route, should be a really solid show. Okay, we got a mecha bird. I can get behind that. Oh yeah, that looks pretty sick. Can't wait to see them finish it. That is not what I had in mind. Oh, he's dead. This is the anime that surprised me the most this season. I guarantee if you were to just read the synopsis on Mal, you would skip over it. A research assistant who belongs to the monster development department of the evil organization Agastya. However, the heroes she has to fight right now aren't the heroes of justice, but her boss. What the actual fuck can you get out of that? Okay, let's just look at the episodes. Maybe we can get more of an idea from the description. Could I perhaps interest you in She Cried Inside when the monster to strike fear into the hearts of men was born into the evil secret society plotting world domination? Or perhaps the legendary emissary from hell who constantly hears the screams of the evil souls from the kettle of darkness spreads fear in his wake as he awakens? Along with those being the longest titles I have ever fucking seen, it would probably confuse you even further. Turns out this show is a commentary on workplace culture, but you would not get that without watching. So yes, the story follows Miss Kuroitsu, who works for the monster development department of an evil organization whose goal is world domination. They create these monsters in order to fight heroes that are stationed all around Japan, but the creation is a lot more difficult than you'd think. You need to consider budget, the specs, abilities, and analyze data comparisons of other monsters before making a presentation for the board. Then they still have to approve your proposal before the development process can begin. Despite this being a super secret evil organization, it functions just like a normal workplace. As unbelievable as it may seem, I did in fact have a job before this, in an office, and the things presented in this show are pretty accurate to normal work life. Seeing the characters work super long hours to meet deadlines, presenting to your boss, and collaborating with other departments was incredibly relatable despite this being an absolutely outlandish organization. Everyone who works knows the stress the job can bring. Being on edge about making one simple mistake and losing your job is a very real thing. We see our main character go through those struggles, but this is where the show starts to be different. A lot of the times working you can feel alone, that you can't go to your boss for questions or extensions in fear of being reprimanded. Agastya is the complete opposite of this, which is ironic as it's an evil organization. The management makes sure that the workers' needs are accommodated. If you're struggling and need an extension, you'll often get it. Mistakes are okay as long as you learn from them and try to improve next time. If you look overworked and tired, they make sure you use vacation days to recharge. You don't have to be thinking about work 24/7, and that creates a great work culture. While some companies practice this in real life, there are plenty who don't, which is why I think that is such a great topic to discuss in the show. Another fun little thing in the anime is that the heroes that the evil organizations fight are actually based on real-life regional heroes. They put a little segment at the end of the episode showing them off, and I think that's pretty cool to include. Miss Koreitsu is probably a show that you would overlook at first glance, but upon diving in, you get a very goofy show that tackles real-life work struggles in an entertaining way. I think most people who watch will be able to find at least something that they can relate to, so I definitely would recommend it. Those are the 3 shows that I most recommend this upcoming season, but definitely not the only ones. Like I said in the beginning, there are a ton of shows airing that show some serious potential. The Genius Prince's Guide to Raising a Nation Out of Debt was one that I nearly included in this list. I've never been a fan of those political world-building shows, but it just so happens neither is the main character. He has to take over running the country after his father falls ill, and he just fucking hates it. So although he has these responsibilities, he's just waiting for a moment to commit treason, sell the kingdom, and fuck off. It's lovely. My Dress-Up Darling is good for, reasons, but is an overall wholesome-ish show about cosplay. Slow Loop is another wholesome show about girls who like to fish, and Tokyo 24th Ward is a mystery show where the main characters have the ability to make decisions that will affect the future. And obviously Attack on Titan and Demon Slayer are going to be entertaining, but if there's one show you gotta watch this season, watch Ranking of Kings. The show was my favorite from last season and probably will remain my favorite for this season. But regardless of my recommendations, I'm sure you'll find something to watch given the sheer amount of shows being put out, so let me know in the comments which ones you plan on starting. That's all I have for you this time. Hope to see you here again.